Allegiance. Mr. Kiley, if I could ask you to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And if I could ask you to remain standing for just a moment. In looking at some of the recent people who have passed away, realize that this year has been a tough one for our town. We've lost a number of very key people who have been a very important part of the fabric of our town for a number of years, and I'd just like us to stop and think on that for a moment. All right, thank you. All right, first up, Ms. Stenick with Wednesday's Pet. Do you have, here you go.
Thank you.
This is Rosie, and Rosie is 5 and 6 years old. She is visiting, or a guest at the Fairfield Animal Shelter, and she's looking for someone to adopt her. So if anybody would like a nice little, quiet right now dog, this is the one. Come visit her and her friends. Thank you.
All right,
We'll
Sherry.
have one Route Highway.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Sherry. You are still undefeated.
Yep.
All right, including.
Even though I cheated and took one home myself last week, yes.
Okay, so that you've heard it here first, folks. So you need to come and call for this dog before Sherry gets it first. Sherry, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we have some recognition.
We do.
And first up, the Fairfield Ward High School 2014 FCAC Cheerleading Grand Champions. Let's go. Now let's, guys, if we can stand over here. Well, you don't get to sit.
Come join
You
us.
guys are like in really good shape, so we're going to ask you to come over here and stand over here, if you would. And then we're over here because we're going to walk the cameras out.
Okay.
So if you guys can kind of stand up here,
We're going to have to be
kind of by both size in alphabetical order and grade point average.
Both sides of you
Hi,
guys.
Megan.
Sure.
Great.
See if you can be facing the cameras.
So actually,
You-
just stand right over here.
Yeah, squeeze that. Yeah,
I'm Rachel.
Wait, yes, this is like Nepal.
All right. First of all, congratulations.
Thank
This, we've got you here. Welcome all this. We've got a certificate for each of you. And we're starting with Nicole.
Right now.
Here you are,
There you
Nicole.
go.
And
Thank
you're
you.
the coach?
Yes.
Okay, so you're like a freshman?
I know I look like one.
Could you, and let's see, is it, we have, oh, and Rachel? All right, so we have both coaches. All right, great.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And could you all, good, and then we start the cheerleaders. Okay. If you could tell us a little bit about what you've accomplished this year and kind of what you set out to do and what you've been able to do this year.
This past year, we won the FCX Grand Championship in February. We competed in 6 competitions. We placed first at
Woodland.
Woodland, top 3, and I would say.
Yep, at Oxford and Seymour. And we had a great year at camp. We also took home a lot of honors at camp. We go to summer camp every year. And we started with 18. We have some girls that play spring sports and couldn't be here today. And we ended up competing with 14. We lost some injuries, but they all remained part of the team, and we had a great year together.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, we all know that cheerleading is a very demanding sport.
Very.
All right, and that you girls are probably in better shape than any of the other teams out there. However, there is a recurring question that I need somebody to answer.
I know.
Is cheerleading really a sport?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Jeez, he went there, didn't he? Gosh.
Guys, this is your chance to tell everybody in the entire town of Fairfield. Actually, in all of southwestern Connecticut, that you believe cheerleading is a sport and why. Anybody have a reason why it's a sport?
Well, I mean, I don't know, like, compared to, like, other sports, like, not going to throw anyone under the bus, but, like, for baseball, you just, like, run around bases. And for cheerleading, you, like, lift people up and have to, like, tumble over your body and hold yourself up. And, like, I don't know, I feel like some cheerleaders are more, like, athletic than other sports players sometimes. And I just think that it's a sport.
It's a very athletic activity.
Not that I'm an expert in cheerleading, but just for the record, I actually was a cheerleader in college. For 2 basketball games. And we promised not to repeat this, only because the real cheerleaders couldn't show up. But we were so committed to cheerleading that we stepped into the gap.
Very nice.
However, what impressed me about cheerleading, especially, I'm going to call it the serious cheerleading you guys do as opposed to the fun stuff we were running around doing, is that for the time that you're out there in your routine, that is the most intense workout that I've ever seen. But the other important thing from a team sport, and that's where one of the things I would have brought up, is that you guys have to be in closer coordination than any other event or sport that I can think of. There's a wide tolerance in football, in baseball, in track, and basketball. There's ways to make it up.
There's
But if
subs.
you guys aren't in the right position, somebody's falling down.
Yeah, and we don't have subs. We don't have a bench.
Right.
And it requires every single person doing their job every single minute of every single day. And part of the other thing is these girls work for 10 months of the year, and our competition routines are 2.5 minutes long. And as Nicole mentioned, we compete 6 times, so it's 15 minutes of competition.
For
that
all
they
this
work
practice.
for 10 months for. And when you break it down like that, it's, it really is kind of eye-opening how much these girls must give of their time and their family's time, and they miss out on stuff, but they do it because they love it.
I think cheerleading is one of the most demanding team sports that I've ever witnessed.
Absolutely.
For all those reasons, the fact that any one of you can't have an off day, any one of you can't have an off move. You've got to be there in sync the whole time, and it's got to be done in 2.5 minutes to perfect coordination. So that's why I'm so
Low
impressed
pressure.
with what you guys have been able to do against all the competition you face. So again, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we do have certificates for everybody. Chris, thank you. Am I
Do you
tripping?
want some? Yeah.
See, that's why I can't be a cheerleader. But Chris and Kevin, did you guys want to add anything to
Go ahead.
this?
Oh, ladies, congratulations. You should be proud. The sense of teamwork and the commitment that you've put in is phenomenal. And yes, I like how you were advocating for your sport, and I hope you all have continued success in everything you do, that you put that kind of heart and commitment into all that you do in your career in the Fairfield Public Schools. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies, I want to congratulate you and then thank you very much for representing our town and our schools and our coaches. We're very proud of you. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, and then we're going to quickly go through the certificates we have for everybody. Madison
All right.
Thank you.
and Tali.
Thank you.
Mackenzie.
She's not here with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Megan.
Here.
Lauren.
She's a lacrosse player.
Whoa. Cosette.
Whoa.
Caitlin.
All right.
Thank you.
Emma. And Maggie. Lauren.
I think everybody else is here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Emma. Neither Emma. All right. Juliana. Cheyenne.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Sydney.
Tell you later.
Congratulations.
Catherine.
Thank you.
Good job.
Bella.
Here.
Thank you.
And Amy.
Congratulations, ladies.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Nice job.
We appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your hard work.
Thank you.
Great job, ladies.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much. Thank
You
you.
ladies can just wander. Come on. You can. Congratulations. Thank you. Great job.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations. And have a great summer, too. Congratulations, ladies. Great job. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you. Come next summer.
You too.
Nice to see you. Congratulations, Diane. Thank you.
All right. We're staying up, right? Might as well. Might as well. Do you need your agenda to read? Do you want me to go out and grab them from the hallway? Or did
Sure.
Did Jen already go?
All right,
Okay.
next up, we have special recognition for the Fairfield Ward High School dance team.
Dance team.
Dance in.
Mr. Spino, how about along the front of the table for this one?
That worked great.
Okay.
That was good?
That worked great. Go all the way to the front. We just stand around the podium there.
All right, ladies, if you could line up over here, please, kind of against that wall, that would be great.
Plenty of room, yeah, squeeze it there.
Not too far back.
You want to be able to see.
Oh, that's right, you want to make sure you're in front of the camera. There we go.
There's kind of 18 of us.
There's a lot of us.
If you want to stand in front of me, feel free.
We could do this from on the side of you. How's that?
Okay, we have
You want to
Coach
face that
Camper here.
Yeah. Face this way? There's a camera there, though.
Here we are.
Hi.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations, Jennifer.
Thank you.
And just so everybody's clear, we're honoring the Fairfield Ward dance team. In fact, they're probably honoring us by your presence. They were being the grand champions at every level of competition. They are the 2014 state champions, the 2014 New England champions, and being first runner-up at the regional championships. Congratulations, ladies. That's phenomenal.
Thank
And Jennifer, we can ask you to stand over here.
Sure.
We've got a certificate for everybody, but if you could tell us a little bit about the dance team, what it's about, what you do, and kind of what you set for your goals for the year, and how you did.
Awesome. Well, basically, the girls start off in the summer, and they work very hard.
And please do something. Oh, no, we do okay. We're okay.
Oh, wait, keep going? Okay. And their number one accomplishment, I've been at Ward for 8 years, so our number one thing for the year is state champions, and we worked really hard to get there, and this year we actually won. We've been runner-up for the past 3 years, and this year they took it, so it's really awesome, and they've been at 6 championships and have won every single one except regionals, which we took second, which is awesome and amazing accomplishment. So I'm very proud of them.
Phenomenal. Now, how long are your routines?
About 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
2 minutes is a long time for dancing.
Very true. Very true.
I had some personal experience with that. I got involved in a dance competition. Well, it's a two-person team.
you. That's true. That's true. Good.
Nice.
And I never realized how long 2 minutes was, how many dance steps were in 2 minutes, and I've got a great respect for everything you're doing there, because I didn't do that well. Would you guys care to, my colleagues, would you care to offer any thoughts?
I have had the pleasure of seeing all of you perform, and you're amazing. I have told some of the members here that I've seen college dance teams perform at some pretty high-level schools that do not have dance teams that are as amazing as all of you. So you should be proud of yourselves for the commitment and the dedication that you've put in. And as I said to the cheer team that was here a few minutes ago, I hope that you will take that dedication and commitment and continue to put that into everything you do here in the Fairfield Public Schools, and for those of you who are graduating, beyond. So we're really, really proud of you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We are very proud of you. Your parents are proud, your school's proud, your town is proud, and the entire town of Fairfield wants to thank you for your efforts and your commitment and your accomplishments, and hopefully you get to enjoy a nice summer.
Now,
Hey, right here. Until practice.
Yes, I said no. They don't get to enjoy it now. I'm just kidding.
this is a year-round sport, right?
That's right.
All right. Wow, we have congratulations first up to the female athlete of the year, Nicole Levine. Go through. Alyssa Perrin. Amanda Duch. Shannon Coyne. Maya Butterfield.
She's not here.
Okay.
I'll take it. All right, Maya.
And Brittany August.
She's also not here.
Great job.
Claire Price. Amanda Perham. Catherine Toda.
Daddy.
Carolyn Mahar.
Oh, that's it.
Peyton Thompson.
Peyton.
Rachel Brisman.
She's not here either.
Thank you.
Devin Hall. And Jessica Robin.
She's not here either.
Molly Hamilton. Mia Harmson. Richard Coleman. And Rachel Goodman.
All right, Rachel.
Good job.
Ladies, congratulations. Thank you for representing Fairfield so well. And really, this commitment to excellence, as Kristen and Kevin both referenced, is something that will serve you well throughout your whole life. So again, thank you very much for everything you've done.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job, ladies.
Awesome.
Come right on
Go
through.
ahead. Take the picture.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations to you. Great job. Congratulations. Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. You're very welcome. Congratulations. Congratulations to you, Coach. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. It's very nice to meet you.
Congratulations.
Great job.
All right, I'm gonna not trip over.
Wonderful.
All right, in order to meet some time constraints, if I can have a motion from, to move item 14 to be taken next.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? I have a vote? All in favor? All right, so we have the 2/3 prop to move it up. Mr. Hurley, you're up. If you'll take a place at the podium.
I appreciate it. As this is a continuation from the last meeting that we had. The board had requested that I contact the Connecticut Audubon Society and submitted.
Joe, try to ask our friends in the hall to.
And he submitted, Mylan Bull submitted an email response to that supporting the request to remove the streetlight for various reasons, which he had mentioned in his letter. And Mylan Bull is the Senior Director of Science and Conservation from the Connecticut Audubon Society. So if there's any further questions, I'm here to
And I think you set this up, Bill. Basically, it's a postponed item from last time. We had a chance to discuss some of it. One of the concerns raised, or questions raised, really, was just whether the Audubon Society, the owner of the property, was in favor of this. And you're saying we have written documentation now that they have.
That's correct. They
Okay.
support the proposal.
Any further questions from the board?
No.
No.
All right. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, back to the board. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Hurley, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with your plans.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Hurley.
All right, next up, we have minutes to consider and act upon the minutes of the regular meeting, May 21st, 2014. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Any comments or changes?
No.
No.
All right, are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes accepted. Resignations for information only from the Long Island Sound Assembly, Mary Von Conta, 128 Southport Woods Drive. Appointments. To hear, consider, and act upon the following appointments. May I have a motion to accept the Golf Commission appointment, Eileen Burns Wenzel, Republican, 960 Flintlock Road, for a term from 4/14 to 4/19 to fill a vacancy from Craig Curley, whose term expired.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
All right. Is Ms. Wenzel here?
Yes.
Oh, great. Any comments or questions from the board?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I just want to thank Ms. Wenzel for volunteering to serve on our Golf Commission. It's a great commission. They have put together some wonderful presentations for us over the past years, and they have a large project in front of them and a lot of work in front of them, but what work we have seen from them so far is very thorough and very complete, and you know, it looks like they're really working hard toward their common goals up there. So thank you for volunteering to step up and be part of that commission and working for our town.
Great, no, I'm happy to do it.
Okay. Kristen?
And I concur, thank you very much. It was great to have a chance to talk with you, and I think the experience that you have both with the golf commission and just with golf in Fairfield in general, as well as your business and professional experience will be phenomenal. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. And I would just concur with my colleagues. I want to thank you very much for your commitment to the town and helping us keep one of our very important amenities in great shape and running smoothly. So thank you very much for that. Any further comments from the board? Any comments from the public? All right, back to the board. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations and thank you. And Jennifer will follow up and let you know what the next steps are.
Thank you.
As needed. Next up, to hear, consider, and act upon an appointment to the Shellfish Commission, John Short, Republican, 382 Round Hill Road, for a term of 11/10 to 11/15 to fill a vacancy for Paul Nelson, who resigned. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Is Mr. Short here? Yes. Very good. Any questions or comments from the board?
I would like to just say thank you very much for your willingness to serve. This is, Shellfish is one of those commissions that's a part of many who work together to keep our ecosystem and our town friendly, and I appreciate your willingness to step forward and serve in this role.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Short, for stepping up to volunteer and for helping to protect our beach areas and our shellfish areas. Appreciate that.
All right, and then adding on to that, Mr. Short, I also want to say thank you. The term itself, because you're filling in, is a fairly short term. I hope you'll consider serving past November. You've got a very impressive resume and background, and we hope you'll continue to do that, but we want to thank you for considering lending your expertise to the town. Any further comments here? Any comments from the public? All right, back to the board. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Short, thank you and congratulations. All right, next up, we have a report from the United States Coast Guard. To hear a report on renovations and plans for Penfield Lighthouse. If you'd come to the podium, please, sir, and introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Commander William Smith. I'm the commanding officer of the Coast Guard Civil Engineering Unit in Providence, Rhode Island. Our responsibilities cover all Coast Guard facilities, shoreside facilities from Maine to Sandy Hook, New Jersey. So Penfield Reef Light is just one of the many that we're responsible for. So behind you I have a diagram, and I'm going to pull this to the forefront a little bit so that you can see it better in the public.
While you're doing that, I do want to thank the Coast Guard officially for taking time out to come here and give us an update on what is taking place on Penfield. I know this isn't a required stop, but I do very much, and on behalf of the town, very much thank you for coming here before us to fill us in a bit.
Quite welcome. Okay, so by way of introduction, Penfield Reef Lighthouse was completed, built in 1874. It was among the last of the offshore masonry lighthouses constructed in the United States before the U.S. Lighthouse Board switched to cast iron materials in the 1870s. It's a Second Empire design, reflected the popularity of the style from the 1860s to the 1880s. Penfield Reef Lighthouse particularly is significant in the history of navigational aids in Long Island Sound as part of the federal program to accommodate post-Civil War shipping in Bridgeport Harbor. So the lighthouse constructed on granite block caisson, truncated cone, core filled with concrete, structure on top, granite, and an upper mansard roof, and a wood-framed tower. In 1997, in conjunction with the solarization of the lighthouse, when we took older style of equipment out of there, the Coast Guard did some documentation on the interior. We noted at that point in time the presence of asbestos cement siding, loss of windows and doors, and many other different kinds of deficiencies. In 2001, we did a fairly extensive repair project on the exterior of the lighthouse. Most of the work was maintenance oriented. And in 2008, we offered it for sale via the National Historic Lighthouse Preservation Act. As part of that process, the lighthouse did actually sell, but litigation eventually caused the sale to fall through, and it never actually conveyed out of federal hands, rather. During that period, you know, and of course afterwards, when it was offered for sale again very recently, 2012, maintenance was deferred because the ownership of the lighthouse was in question. While it was up for sale in 2012, of course, we had Hurricane Sandy sweep through the region, and it struck the lighthouse site, and the damage was pretty extreme. Wave heights may have been near 30 feet. The storm surge in the area was at least 12 feet high. We know that for certain. Panels in the windows and doors were pushed in at the first floor. The basement was left littered with debris and it was flooded. Much of the built-in gutter for the mansard roof, which appears to have been rebuilt in the last 2 decades, was torn apart. Mortar joints in the granite exterior were washed away. You know, the list goes on and on and on. So because it's still in federal hands at this point in time, and consistent with some of the post-Hurricane Sandy recovery work that we received funding for, and to make it still safe for the Coast Guard personnel to access the structure, to get up into the tower, to maintain a still active navigational aid. We're planning to do a project that is currently out for bid. The contract documents are on Federal Business Ops, and the estimate for that work is somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million. So the repair strategy, much of it is exterior repairs. A lot of the exterior historic fabric is gone, with the exception of the granite masonry. So we're planning to use modern materials to replace existing modern materials at the site. We're going to try to be sympathetic to the historic fabric, but provide some weather resistance for this harsh environment. So, brief outline. We're going to be doing a lot of repointing of the exterior granite work. You can see some of the problems: holes, missing mortar. There's going to be a lot of work on the exterior granite. We're going to put in new windows and ventilation panels. Again, you can see damage where windows were pushed in from the frames, allowing water to just infiltrate the inside of the structure. We're going to do new windows and ventilation panels. We're going to use aluminum cladded, new impact and hurricane-rated impact-resistant windows with aluminum cladding, a 3-dimensional simulated divided light system, which reflects the traditional, appearance of, single panes with muntins. It'll take the place of what's currently there, which is just acrylic panels that have been damaged and pushed in. The type of window is going to provide an appearance similar to that traditional wood sash, and it'll provide, better protection from the elements and vandals, for that matter. Siding, we've got on the upper part of the building, at some point, this is all asbestos fiber siding that was put on, replacing what used to be wood clapboard siding. All of that is going to come off. For the tower portion, we're going to use a pre-painted white fiber cement clapboard that has 4-inch exposure. That's going to mimic again what the original structure looked like. And we're going to remove the asbestos cement fiber from the steep slope of the mansard roof here and use asphalt shingles in that application. For the upper part of the mansard roof, which is low slope, okay, that's currently a unique product. And we're going to have to replace that with something that's a little bit more modern. The current low slope roof is a lead alloy coated stainless steel, and it's not manufactured any further. So we're going to replace, the only thing that can be successfully bonded to it where it needs repairs is lead coated copper, and that's what we're going to be using for repairs of the edges and new flashing. Chimney repairs here are also going to be necessary. That's just typical brick masonry. The prominent built-in gutter is going to be replaced with a new lead-coated copper gutter liner, maintaining the same size and proportion of the existing built-in gutter. We're going to save as much as possible. Usable, original, or wood millwork, we'll store it on site, and where we can, we're going to put it back in place. Finally, that takes us to the lantern house at the top. The lantern area needs a lot of repair work. We're going to put in new glass panels, new astragals, which are the parts in between the panels that hold them in place, to match the existing historic fiber. The existing deck and lower wall covering appears to be tern, which is an old lead tin alloy over iron. It's rusted, pitted, numerous areas. It's got big splits in several locations. It cannot be repaired because of its current condition. Unfortunately, they no longer make this material, so we're going to have to substitute new lead-coated copper decking and lower panels for that, where that has to be replaced. Exterior metal surfaces, of course, are going to continue to be painted black to reflect what's currently on site. So that's sort of a very quick overview of all of the work that we're doing. Again, right now the construction estimate that's posted on Federal BizOps is between $500,000 and $1 million worth of work, because we just don't know how much longer that's going to remain in federal hands. And like I said, it is still an active day to navigation. So with that, I'd certainly entertain any questions you might have about the planned work.
Any questions from the board?
I have a comment. I'm very grateful for the report and the information, and we obviously in town have had a lot of conversation about the lighthouse. What I am glad to hear is that with the modernization and the upgrades and the safety, to use this as an ongoing navigational aid, you are also maintaining the historic quality. And we in Fairfield consider this an icon for our town. So I'm glad and grateful that the Coast Guard is willing to work in that manner to restore in that regard as well, as much as you can. So thank you.
Thank you. Just quickly, thank you for the update. That's very informative. Just a quick question. You talked about the 12-foot water that came up during Sandy. How high up on the building would that water have been approximately, just in height? I just can't picture how high that stone goes up.
Right about here.
That's about 12 feet up?
Right about here.
And that's without the wave? That's just the surge?
Just the surge.
Just the surge?
Exactly.
Wow. But the stone really held up, as far as the structure of the base, the foundation part. Interesting.
That's because the windows didn't. They let the water through.
That's right.
Well, the door got pushed in,
Right.
and then of course with the wave heights and everything else,
Right.
it all just got pushed in, and the basement was full of water after the hurricane went through.
But the granite held up for the most part.
For the most part. Like I said, we've got extensive damage with the mortar.
The mortar,
and if we don't get this outer structure watertight again at least, then it's going to start to really deteriorate fast because of the freeze-thaw cycles.
Sure. Good. Thank you.
Right. And with $500,000 to $1 million worth of repair work, that's certainly some significant damage that was caused by Sandy and going through this. Could you?
Well, I'm not exactly sure how much damage was existent pre-Sandy.
Okay.
Okay, because the last time we had looked at the lighthouse was probably 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but after Sandy, certainly when we did our survey of damage post-hurricane, there was a lot that was going to need to be done if we were going to maintain the structures and as a usable aid to navigation.
Right. What's the timing on the repair? When do you when will work start? When do you anticipate it being complete?
Well, the project is open. The solicitation is open now. I can't recall quite when the solicitation closes. It's either later this month or next month. And once we have the bids in hand, then we'll make the project award, probably July, August timeframe. And, there may be some slide there depending on different things. For large projects of this nature, there are a lot of things that the federal acquisition regulations require us to do. But that's the projection right now, is certainly a fourth quarter of the fiscal year award, put it that way. And then as far as the scheduling of the actual work, I would expect that a lot of the work is probably going to happen in the late summer and fall time frame. It may not all get completed, but I expect that some of the work is at least going to be started by the contractor. So people can most likely expect to see activity out at the lighthouse certainly by September and October.
Okay.
Perhaps before, and then there may be a break in activity during the winter, and anything that's remaining would happen in the spring.
Okay. And then you said when it's complete, it will be back to a kind of a functioning lighthouse. Will we expect to see the same type of function we saw, before Storm Sandy, or will there be any additional functionality that will be added in?
It's exactly the same functionality as what it has now. The light, flashes a signal to mariners, and really what our repairs are about right now is maintaining the structural integrity and doing some things on the interior to make it safe for Coast Guard people to get up to the tower, do regular maintenance on the optics, and then get out safely.
Okay, very good. Any further questions from the board? Then, again, please accept our thanks to the Coast Guard for coming here to give us an update on what's taking place in the lighthouse.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Next up, Fairfield Counseling Services.
Hello.
Hi. For the folks at home, if you'd please
yes.
give us your name and position, please.
My name is Dorothy Timmerman. I'm Executive Director of Fairfield Counseling Services, right across the street there.
Okay.
First, I wanted to thank you very much for the opportunity to share a little bit about what we do, and also to take this moment to thank the town very much for the support that you give Fairfield Counseling Services. It's because of that support that we're able to provide a much wider continuum of responses to the community. So I really appreciate that. We have been around since 1969 and started as a very small drop-in center and have progressed to a state-licensed psychiatric and substance abuse treatment. We currently provide services of about 900 sessions a month of counseling services. That has doubled since 2007. And we are extremely busy, and we are licensed to see people with a whole host of mental health issues. And we do individual counseling, couple counseling, and we also do groups. So currently we have an anger management group. We have a girls group that is for body image and self-esteem, cyberbullying. We have a couples group as well. So depending on the need of the community, we pull groups together. Summertime is an excellent time to have groups for teens, and so the body image group is very popular because, as you know, girls have a lot of pressure that create all kinds of dilemmas for them. So that is a very popular group. Currently we have, 13 full and part-time staff who are mostly marriage and family therapists, licensed professional counselors. We have a psychiatrist as well as an APRN. We also, our secondary mission is as a training site for master level mental health clinicians, and we currently have 11 interns. So that is why we're able to provide almost 10,000 sessions a year. So let's see, what else? Do you have any questions for me? Is there anything further?
Actually, I've got a few right off the top. One of the questions, given the amount of service you do, how much of your services go to Fairfield residents?
65 to 68% are Fairfield town residents. And we draw from other communities, but I want to make it really clear that the people we accept for treatment completely pay for their services. So the money from the town of Fairfield is very much, we can charge, mental health services are basically reimbursable by insurance, but they're only reimbursable for very specific symptom management. They are not reimbursable for a large piece of the services that we do, which is often speaking in schools. We have an anti-bully program that we've brought to the schools. I've done a number of presentations to the schools concerning in-service, teacher in-service, and those kinds of things. None of those costs are covered by insurance. So it gives us the opportunity very often to go into the community and provide services, and often actually it generates people actually coming into therapy. But there's also another important function that we serve. Mental health clinicians are considered mandated reporters, and what that means, if there is abuse, whether to vulnerable populations, either disabled, elderly, or children, we need to report that to the state. And we have approximately 30 reports a year. And so I think it's an important function that very often we're on that front line of protecting those populations that don't have a voice. So that's another function that we serve as well. We also often, as an outpatient service, there's a hospital for very acute care, and then the community outpatient. So we're kind of that point in time that often refers people to a higher level of care.
Could you tell us a little bit about how you coordinate or work together with the Fairfield or the town social services department, police, or the Center for Family Justice? Is there much coordination, and how does that all come together?
There's quite a bit of cross-referral, and we've actually had the crisis unit from the, it's wonderful, the training to have that backup, to come actually to the agency. We've called about 4 times, I'd say, within the last 2 years to have that, and that was a wonderful, wonderful resource for us. We do a lot of cross-referrals with the services. Domestic violence, we work with domestic violence as well, and domestic violence is of different types. We work with a lot of situational violence, which is different than what has been called intimate terrorism, which is a very different breed of domestic violence. And the Center for, I guess they're called Family Justice, now works with that population, and that population often requires housing and a lot of support services, including economic services, job training, those kinds of things, as well as legal. So we refer for those higher levels of domestic violence, but there's a very wide spectrum of conflict resolution. So we work with couples on family issues, on divorce, the mental health continuum, depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder. So it's really a very wide spectrum, and mental health is many different things. And so it's not just one thing. Some of it is about managing symptoms, but some of it is about coping with life, and a lot of it is about psychoeducational and learning skills about how not to have things become a crisis. I would say that's probably the predominant part of our prevention work, so we don't get to those places where the greater level of services are needed.
How many employees do you have?
We have full and part-time, we have 13, 5 full-time, 8 part-time, and then the interns.
Okay. Any questions from my colleagues? Kevin?
Go ahead, please.
Well, I want to thank you, Dorothy, for being here and for the work that you do. I've had the pleasure of working with Dorothy, and I'm glad you brought up the prevention piece, because that's primarily where I have had the experience of working as part of Fairfield Cares, our local prevention council, and recently in the middle school, Lori Mediati's Risky Business program that was reaching out to our middle schoolers, and Dorothy was there too. My question is, how often do you find yourself in the schools, and who is it primarily that you're partnering with? Is it with Lori or through other agencies? For example, do you ever partner with the Center for Family Justice to go into the schools?
We haven't partnered with the Center for Family Justice to go into the schools. We usually work with the schools directly. We get called by the social workers there, the guidance department, and so probably our major work with the schools is they refer to us for family work. for students, so we kind of do supportive services around that. Our clinicians are often asked to be part of PPT planning programs for children, so it's a nice collaborative, because of course with children, if the families aren't involved, that's a problem. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Kevin?
Oh, thank you. Dorothy, thank you for being here. And I know you thanked us for our support when you came here, which we greatly appreciate, but the thanks really go to you and your organization and the work that you do. 10,000 cases a year. You've been doing this for 45 years. And the services that you provide today to all the citizens in our town in a very ever-changing life and world of mental health. It's much different today than it was 5 or 10 or 15 years back. The challenges are different, the situations are different, and by working together and with the other agencies and with our town, I mean, you have just proven to me that the partnership that we have as a town with your agency far exceeds any monetary investment that we make in you, and it's great to be able to work with organizations that, you know, provide services that the town probably couldn't provide on their own, or that other agencies aren't able to, and working together, helping out the citizens. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I wish I could find a way to articulate how the prevention piece ensures that things do not happen. It's very difficult to kind of articulate, well, because of this, these things did not happen. And working with the town police department, that's often the case, because if you can get into a family at the beginning of an issue or at the point of crisis, that saves the road going down that path. But that's a little bit challenging to try to articulate what doesn't happen.
Right. It's also hard to calculate that well.
It really is,
It's
but
that
we know it
opportunity,
because we've seen the before and after situation, and so we have a sense for if we could intervene sooner. You have more options usually.
Absolutely.
And then children aren't defined in a pathological way. There's all kinds of options with that. So
Thanks.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Just if you would, you have something to add?
Go
right ahead.
Another question, and yeah, I think that was very well put, Selectman Kiley. We are very, very fortunate to have you here. One of the questions I had was in terms of the 13 full-time and part-time staff. Are the vast majority of those therapists? Do you have any, or how many do you have in administrative positions?
The administrative, there are 3 positions administratively. We need a receptionist, and in this day and age you need a billing person, a full-time billing person to manage that. So we have a nighttime receptionist and a daytime receptionist.
Great.
And partly I asked that because I know through working with you, sometimes all those pieces about publicity and kind of quantifying those things that Selectman Kiley was referring to in the conversation with you about prevention, that's a lot of work to do as well. So there are a lot of things that you have to do there.
Yes, but it's a joy, really, to be able to do it.
And just as a quick follow-on to that, I forgot to mention that your use of the interns as both, you know, as employees to help run the program and help assist people, but also as a training ground for both themselves and for other folks that can come through the organization. It's a great model. It helps everyone. It helps the intern, it helps the agency, and it helps the recipients who need the assistance. So that's a great combination of people and skills.
It's actually the same model that hospitals do. Doctors are trained in that same way. So you have your book learning, but then you need the experiential and have oversight with that. So it
makes a lot of sense.
well. Yeah, thank you. I brought a few brochures.
All right, Dorothy, thank you. Just
Thank you very much.
before you go, I've got a couple questions, if you would, a couple comments, I guess. One is that, as you pointed out, a lot of your work is on prevention.
Yes.
All right, it's really a challenge, and you know, what popped into mind is it's kind of, for me, a little bit analogous to Metro North. If they'd put enough money into prevention, we wouldn't have had the train crashes, but it's hard to count how many train crashes you save when there aren't any, because you put the money into maintenance and prevention in this case. So I think that creates a challenge certainly for your organization in terms of recognition and fundraising in order to get the support. So I'm agreeing with Selectman Kiley in terms of that's why I think the town contribution is so important, because you're in a tough situation, because if you're successful, you won't have the incidents, which you won't get to address, which...
I know, it's a catch-22, frankly.
And the second piece is we've talked before, and we've talked about how to get the word out, how to help define your success. And you're the one organization we have that your clients are really not in a position because of the type of treatment, the type of situation, to step up and say, yep, I got great help, they did a wonderful job for me. So you are sitting here where you do have incidents and do help people. The people themselves can't speak up and say that. And if you're really successful at prevention, we don't have the incidents, which then makes it harder to prove your track record and success. So
I know, that's the dilemma.
I think this is one of the cases where town support is both helpful and valuable because we can listen, we can understand the process, and we can invest in that prevention on behalf of our town residents. And to me, that's what makes the services you provide important, but also that's why my commitment to your organization is so strong, because I think you provide that service. And a little bit that is perhaps based on faith in those things that didn't happen, but I think because you have the process defined, because you can show us what's taken place, we know it's your good work that's helping us get there.
Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate it. Thank you, Kristen.
Other than that, thank you very much for stopping and joining us, unless my colleagues had any other comments.
No.
Great, thank you.
You deserve applause.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you, Dorothy.
All right. Moving on. Next up, item 11 from the Chamber of Commerce and Director of Community and Economic Development to hear a report on Fairfield Online.
I see T-shirts.
And our new attire.
We come bearing gifts
I think I'm going to take a picture.
because we are going to enlist you in our marketing campaign. So don't say we didn't give you anything. Don't post it. It's all good. So I'm here with Mark Barnhart, Director of Community Economic Development for the town. I'm here with Bev Ballas from the Fairfield Chamber. And earlier this year, my office, in partnership with the Chamber and Google, launched an initiative to encourage Fairfield businesses to increase their online presence. There's been a very successful campaign nationwide to do so. It's spurred by some statistics. 97% of internet users look for or find local goods and services online, but only about half of American businesses have a website or an online presence. So we want to increase those numbers and make sure that Fairfield businesses are getting their share of business out of this. The internet online is clearly the direction of the future. People are doing a lot of their shopping via the internet, smartphones and the like, and so we want to make sure that we're doing what we can to assist businesses in capturing that business. So basically what Google is offering is a pretty sweet deal. They're providing a free web domain name, rudimentary website, and free web hosting for 1 year. After that, then it's on the business to pick it up, but I looked at the fees that they're charging after the 1 year, and it's very modest. So it's really the cost, the entry level obviously is non-existent, but the cost for maintenance is fairly, it should be sustainable for the long term. So we've done what we can to try to get the word out. I know Bev has worked with her membership. We've have a video featuring the first selectman, which we e-blasted out to our contacts. We have had a couple of breakfast mixers and other meetings with Fairfield businesses, downtown merchants, and chamber representatives and other businesses. So anything we can do to try to get the word out, we're trying to do that because we think this is a tremendous opportunity. So if folks are interested, they can contact either Bev or myself. Bev's number is 255-1011, and my number is 256-3120. Or you can go directly to the Get Your Business Online website at www.gybo.com and get more information about this program.
Wow.
Do you want to hand out the
Yes, I
T-shirts?
do.
Fantastic.
And I don't know.
Put ours on too?
You can.
That would be fun.
Thanks, Bev.
You're welcome.
We have pens and note
Thank
cards and
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, look at that.
All right.
And the beauty of it is we didn't have to pay for any of it.
That's beautiful.
So
That's beautiful.
we're happy to answer any questions that you might have regarding the program.
Thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
See,
Appreciate
it's
that.
like a dress.
And just,
Yeah.
and just for my colleagues, if I can add any other piece of this, Google came to the U.S. Conference of Mayors in January in D.C. and put on this whole program about what they're doing nationwide. And it just seems such a great fit for Fairfield and what we're doing with the new energy involved in our chamber, and they're reaching out to new businesses. With everything Mark has done to kind of restore the vibrancy to downtown and keep that going, it also seemed to make sense to do this. So it seemed a natural fit for Fairfield. Google, as Mark has pointed out, has provided tons of marketing support, as well as the online component for our businesses that weren't there for the first year. So this, as we're trying to grow Fairfield, one of the goals is to make sure that we're taking advantage of all of Fairfield. We've got the bricks and mortar piece, we've got the downtown, we've got the different centers of business in Black Rock, Southport, Grassmere, but this gives us a chance to make sure every business in town has a chance to be in the online marketplace to support what they're doing on the bricks and mortar side. And I want to compliment Beverly and Mark in terms of what you've done to keep this going through this time and kind of raise the awareness to our businesses on how important this is.
We'll wear these a little more often. No, I'd like to just make one comment on the membership side of the Chamber of Commerce. All of those businesses really have websites, but they were very excited that First Selectman Tetro brought this back, because we know that the small businesses are the backbone of the community. They recognize this, and for those businesses that are online, they grow faster, and they're really twice as likely to create jobs. So everyone was very complimentary about bringing this to Fairfield, and nice to see that getting on that and railing that up. So good feedback from the Chamber membership as well.
Excellent. Excellent.
Any comments from the board?
Just a couple quick things. I was surprised to hear that still in today's day and age, 50% of businesses aren't online.
I am surprised by that too. I believe our numbers are much higher here in Connecticut and in Fairfield, but that is the statistics that we've been provided nationally.
That's a national number. That was my next question.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, no. So thank you for pointing that out. Yep. I picked up on two things that you folks are really, really doing well here. And whether you're trying to start a business or grow a business, there's two really important things. Awareness, and you guys are doing that. You're out there every day pounding the streets, letting everyone know what's going on and how to get involved. And secondarily is, breaking down the barriers to entry. And this program allows a business to get into it without great expense or great technology skills, breaking down that, barrier of entry. And those two things should be very helpful to our local businesses. So thanks.
Yes. So.
Good observations.
And I think those are good observations, and I would add to that your collaboration and leveraging the resources in town, the membership and the town government and all that together with what Selectman Kiley said, I think is phenomenal, and I applaud you for your efforts. It does make a difference. It really has, and it does, and I know it will continue to do so.
It will.
Yep, and I like what I'll call the no excuses sales approach, which is we're going to provide you the website, provide you this, provide you that.
Exactly.
There's no cost involved.
That's right.
Just get online.
Right.
That's exactly it.
That's tough to argue against.
Even if we can get one or two more businesses that don't have an online, they're online through this program, it's a success. So.
And I also think it's good to realize that one of the reasons Fairfield is successful, one of the reasons our businesses are doing well is because so many of them are online already. Yeah. So just finding out and validating that fact, but also letting them know that kind of the pressure's on. Other folks are going to move it online, so you've got to keep that going. Right. So excellent. Guys, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Enjoy your t-shirts. Thank you.
I believe they are all extra.
I like it.
Good.
The kids can fight over them.
All right. Next up, item 12 from our town attorney. This does require RTM approval. To hear, consider, and approve a lease renewal with T-Mobile at 3965 Congress Street.
Good afternoon, all. I am not going to go over the lease parameters again because we did that the last time.
Right.
I think Selectman Kiley had asked a question about other rates. And
Yeah, the marketplace, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Eileen Kennelly, who's our risk manager, attempted to do a survey. She did get some answers from a couple of the towns, although a lot of them don't have public cell towers on public towers. They just use them for emergency. But I guess the closest one is Westport, and she said they all pay $1,060 a month, although she then said that the average lease payment's about $2,300 per month per tenant. So we're well above that figure with ours. I mean, I think this one alone is close to $4,000 a month, if I recall.
Right, yeah.
So we're way above what the market is, and that was the best that she could determine. She said she spoke to about 10 towns, but the only one she could really pin down was Westport, and we're well above their numbers.
Thank you for that follow-up.
Quite welcome.
I certainly do appreciate that. The only other question I had, and pardon me, I know you mentioned this the last time, was the term of the new contract. Is it being proposed?
I think it was a straight 5 year.
Is it 5, or is it 5 with a follow-on 5? Or I just don't remember what that was.
I think it should be in your backup there, but my
Yeah,
recollection was
it is.
straight 5.
Yeah, the
There was
lease
no
is
option
here.
after that.
And- Because the original one was 10, right?
No, I think it wound up being, it was 15, I think, 5, 5, and 5.
Or was it, okay.
Renewal terms?
The second amended and reinstated lease agreement, the term is 5 years commencing on March 3.
It says 2 additional and successive 5-year periods for each renewal term. So how does that,
That was the original one. This one is a straight 5 year.
this says renewal terms? Is that the,
Are you looking at the second
I'm
amended
looking
and
at-
reinstated?
I'm looking at page 1 of the backup.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yes, the renewal terms. And it's automatic, yes. So it's 5, 5, and 5. on this one.
Okay, so just step us through that first sentence there. Upon expiration of the additional renewal term, and notwithstanding anything to the contrary in the agreement, lessees shall have the right to renew the term of this agreement for up to 2 additional and successive 5-year terms. Each
That
renewal-
is,
Right, and that's,
it's 5 and 5, so it's 5, 5, and 5.
but if I'm reading this is the renewals at their option.
Yes.
So there's not, does that make this more of an administrative step? In essence, we've already agreed to give them the rule if they choose, is where I'm trying to get to.
That is correct. That's why the RTM has to approve this.
So this is,
It's over the 3 years total. And so
right,
once
that's
it is
not my
renewed-
question.
Okay,
All right, we signed a lease 10, 15 years ago.
correct.
That lease says the renewal terms, what I'm looking at here, is this a new term, or was this in the existing lease?
The lease we signed 15 years ago is over. This is an extension of that lease. And this extension basically is for 5, 5, and 5. It's a 5-year term with 2 additional 5-year
Okay,
terms.
so
So it
that's
goes for
where-
another 15 years.
Okay, so when we sign
Correct.
this, that basically the leasee will have the option to renew for 2 additional 5-year terms.
Correct.
So this is, in total, is a 15-year lease, because those 2 5-year options are at their option. So when we sign this,
That is correct.
we're in
correct.
essence giving our approval to 15 years.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be some, yeah, that's correct.
We're giving our approval for up to 15 years. We know it will be 5, it could be 10, it could be 15.
Correct.
Agreed.
But it's at
And-
their option to do that.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's consistent with the original lease that I have in front of me, which was 5 years with 2 successive 5-year periods at the lessee's
Option.
option.
Yes.
Yes.
It's,
Okay.
that's the way these
Yeah,
work.
that was my question. I just want to make sure I was understanding it, so it's,
Yes.
okay.
And I think this is when we get a 5% increase
Right.
every year.
But all the other terms and conditions are consistent, including the 5% annual increases
Yes.
for all the years, et cetera.
Yes.
Okay. You've answered my questions.
Other questions?
Not for me.
Other than that, the terms of this agreement are pretty much identical to what we signed 15 years ago?
Yes. If you look at paragraph 5, except as expressly set forth in this amendment, the agreement otherwise is unmodified and remains in full force and effect in accordance with its terms and conditions. And essentially, the only modification of this lease is the term, and I think probably the notice provisions changed.
And then,
Addresses.
on the lease agreement itself, It refers to the second day of February.
The original lease agreement?
I'm looking at the lease here.
Yes.
I'm assuming this is the lease we're going to sign?
You were signing the second and amended reinstated lease agreement.
The first page.
Just the first page.
And basically, that refers to the original lease that's from February of 1999.
Gotcha.
And that lease is what this modifies.
Very good.
And extends, essentially.
Right.
All right, any further questions?
No.
Any questions from or comments from the public? Back to the board. Are we ready to vote? Oh, sorry. To hear consent. Oh, I didn't do that. Okay. To hear, consider, and approve a lease renewal for T-Mobile at 3965 Congress Street, Fairfield, Connecticut. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion before we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next up, also from the town attorney, to hear a report on the donation of a property at 641 Reef Road. Let me just set the stage on this. We've had a resident come forward that wants to donate their property to the town for a specific purpose. This is a condo. Simply put, while we can accept a donation of a condo without any approvals, the goal would be to accept this condo and then sell it, or flip the condo and get the money from the sale and use that as the donor request. So consequently, we are going to bring this to the various boards to ensure that everybody is aware of what we're doing, and any questions or clarifications we can get in advance of having to sell it when we bring it back through the boards. So with that as a setup, Attorney Lesser?
Thank you. Our fire chief, Chief Fellner, has made arrangements with a generous donor who has a condominium at 641 Reef Road to donate the condominium to the town with the provision that it be sold and the proceeds used. And there's an email, I think I phoned it, but I don't know that I have printed out a copy for myself, the latest one. Mr. Kiley, perhaps you have it there.
I've got one from Tuesday, June 3rd.
Okay.
I believe that's it. To you from John?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it was making specific, he wants the proceeds to be used to purchase, I believe, a ladder truck or some kind of a fire truck.
Ladder rescue truck for Fire HQ at 140 Reef Road.
Okay. So it's a conditional gift, which means that I believe that if we accept this gift, we're going to have to abide by the conditions. And I think that's why First Selectman Tetro would like to present it to this body and then take it to the RTM, even though I don't think we really need their approval to take it. But we're certainly going to need their approval to sell it. And if they're not going to at least approve in sense, us using the money for these funds, there's no sense in taking it.
Right.
Because we would be able to sell it and use it. Just for the record, I think in your backup, there's an appraisal that was done as of October of last year with the value on it. And I had a building inspection done by the normal home inspector. That was conducted actually this morning. I believe that the results were forwarded to you. It's a pretty good inspection. I don't know if, Mr. Tetro, you've had a chance to read it, but being in the business yourself, I'm sure you're familiar with them. Okay. There really were a couple of minor little issues with it, so it's in pretty good shape. It looks like a nice, well-maintained condominium, and if everything is in good shape, I'll order a title search, and the town will get title insurance on it just to protect the town. And we can go ahead and take this, and then we'll have to go through the process of selling it.
Right.
Just, and again, positionally, this would not, in and of itself, pay for a new ladder truck. So it would be a down payment, if you will, on a ladder truck to the town's benefit, since we do have, well, let me ask, since our fire chief is here, Mr. Fellner, if I could ask, when is the next new ladder truck due to be purchased?
It has to go out on bid.
If you could.
We have a truck committee now, which they're drawing up the specs, and it has to go out on bid after July, and we're working with twig in purchasing on that.
Okay, that wasn't quite my question. We have a capital plan.
Yes, sir.
Within that capital plan, we have fire trucks. We
Correct.
just put one through, and I believe we just put through a ladder truck.
Yes, we did.
When is the next ladder truck, or would this money be applied to the existing ladder truck that we just approved?
This is the one that you just approved.
Okay.
And if it doesn't go there, of course, you know, we can put it towards next year if we
Well,
want to.
it says that it has to be used on a ladder rescue
Right.
truck, so it would have to be wait for the next cycle of ladder rescue trucks.
Right, right. This is the other thing we have changed. But it has to be specifically for the new truck. When I talked to this gentleman, that's what he wanted, and he made it send us documentation, this is what it's to be used for.
Yep, no, that's okay. I was just trying to clarify the
I hope I
rules.
did. I don't want to go into the process and get ahead of myself here,
No.
because it's still in the process of writing up specs, and then it has to go to purchasing and so forth and so on.
Okay, so it basically reduces the cost on a fire truck or fire equipment
Right.
vehicle that we already have in process
Right.
and will soon be placed on order.
Yes, sir.
So without this, we'd be paying the full price.
Right.
With this, it's a very significant discount.
Yeah, it'll be less $400,000, let's put it this way.
Okay, thank you.
May I just on that, just to be
Please.
clear, because the first selectman just mentioned that we have a ladder truck that we just approved in the prior budget cycle.
Yes, sir.
And I forget the price, roughly $1 million.
No, it's about
It was about
850,000.
$850.
Yes, sir.
So that one's already in the purchasing hopper,
Correct.
the process, and these funds go toward that existing truck, not the subsequent ladder truck that we might hire or purchase in 2 or 3 years.
No, that one has to go
Towards
towards
this.
this particular ladder truck. That was the agreement
Okay.
with this gentleman.
Okay, good, thank you, I was just not clear on
And
that.
he was very specific in the documents that he sent.
Absolutely, yeah, I just didn't know which truck cycle it was
Yeah.
attached to.
Yeah, we were very fortunate, this
Yeah.
$400,000.
Right. Yeah. The only other question I have while you guys are looking at the documents is for the town attorney. I'm not sure how big this condominium complex is. Are there any condominium association entanglements that we need to be cognizant of, or is that is non-issue, it's a buy and a sell, and we're good to go?
If you look at the picture, you'll see there are 2 buildings, each containing 2 units.
So there's 4 in total. Okay.
But each building was set up as a separate condominium, so it's a 2-unit condo.
Okay.
So I reviewed the documents, I don't see any right of first refusal or anything like that, which typically aren't exercised anyway.
Right.
So I think we're in pretty good shape.
Good.
We can take it and we can market it, you know, obviously we have to sell it at fair market value,
Yeah,
but
relatively free and clear.
it will be free and clear.
Yeah.
And the building inspection went very well this morning.
I know.
went down there at 9 o'clock, and he was very surprised that we got it.
Hey, Kristen?
So,
I'm sorry,
thank
Peter.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation, and just a couple questions to follow up. Just the mechanics of who will be doing the selling. Will that, you said you would be doing a title search, will that fall on you, or will there be someone
I'm
else
gonna-
in the town who?
Before we take possession of this, I will order a title search, obviously to make sure that the title is clear. The town will pay for a title insurance policy, which is always a good idea, especially when you're dealing with a condominium, because then if there's any irregularities in the condo docs or anything like that,
Exactly.
you're protected.
Yeah.
And those expenses will come out of the proceeds when we sell it, but they'll be minimal in terms of things. And then I'm assuming the first selectman has the authority to negotiate for the sale of property, and there's some procedures set up in the code. And I guess we'll list it, you know, probably get a CMA on it, list it, and sell it like you would any other piece of property. And then it would have to go, we'd have to get a report from TPZ, and then it goes to the RTM for approval of the sale, which I think is why we're doing it now. Again, if they're not going to approve this whole concept, there's no sense in taking this condo from this gentleman.
Right.
And you answered one of my other questions, which was the costs, the proceeds and the donation will be net of the costs that we
Yes.
incur in going
Yes.
through this process.
Which will be relatively minor in the scheme of things. You know, there'll be a commission, I would assume, and
So the cost that you Yeah, and you just listed those costs. So those were my primary questions about it.
That's it. Thank you.
Good job.
Before we go too much further, in terms of the home inspection report, there are a number of items listed here. Are there any of these that are either significant enough that we need to have prepared before the sale, or any of these that...
No, I can answer it. I think, I mean, the stuff was all minor that I could see. Replace a GFI outlet, there's a door pull missing, I think something need to be cleaned out. It doesn't look like there's any mechanical issues or structural issues in the building. It was they did a termite inspection, and, you know, the standard one that you get with these building inspections, no termites. I know you might want to ask the broker that you ultimately list it with if you think it could be done, but it would seem to me that Public Works could probably do the stuff that needs to be done pretty easily here. It's handyman stuff, basically.
It was all minor stuff. There's a bird nest on the second floor, up in the soffit. I mean, you know, we can look and take that down. It's in excellent condition.
It says there's some blocked off HVAC registers in living room ceiling. Do we know
Yeah,
what's
when I was
involved
with
there?
him, and, you know, I didn't understand myself where he was going. It's all they were, is they were closed. And, you know, with the dampers. And he asked why they were closed. I had no idea. It wasn't where it was blocked off.
Okay, my question is, what it says here is blocked off, that implies more than just closed.
When I was with him, he looked, he says, gee, I wonder why that's closed, and that's all I could really, I said, I don't know. So I'll look into it, and, you know, I can call him, but he didn't seem to be concerned about it. It was right at the bottom of the stairwell.
Just in terms of, when we look at minor stuff, if they're just closed, that's certainly about as minor as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
However, if they're not just closed, that could be significant. So we can find out from the owner what the situation is, and can we have those somehow opened or tested so that we know that they
I'll do
were
that, I'll do it first thing in the morning.
properly?
Again,
And same
just-
thing, that says the refrigerator was off and not tested. Again, it's a fairly simple fix. We turn it on.
Yeah.
It's fairly common in a home that's on the market to have the refrigerator turned off. However, it would probably make sense that we have it turned on so that it's not an issue, and we get to
Okay.
know whether we're selling this with or without a refrigerator. And then the other thing, this replace the smoke detector batteries. It doesn't say if this, at least not that I've read, it doesn't say if the smoke detector system is...
I just told him it was his job.
It's already done.
You carry those with you, Chief, and just in case.
In the trunk of the car.
So that's, that one's been taken care of. Thank you. It says the garbage disposal C, so that's pretty much a waste on,
I think he thinks he's negotiating a purchase here for a client.
yeah. The,
Doing his
no,
diligence.
sorry,
Already
just looking for those things that appear small and get bigger fast.
I'm sorry, Mike.
Yeah, I think so.
GFC, halfbacks on them.
Don't think the seller's going to want to fix any of these items, though, Mike. He's giving it to us.
I think the issue is it's one thing, if they're giving to us, that may be the case, but I think that we want to know that they can be fixed at some reasonable cost, so that's, because we're going to have, again, we're going to turn around and resell this. We want to make sure that we kind of know what to net out the cost. I would think most people paying money for a condo would want these things in good working order. That's all. That's all. But you're right, from a overall standpoint, that doesn't look too bad. All right, any further questions from, this is, again, this is not a voting item.
Right.
This is just a report to us, so it's kind of previews of coming attractions. I want to make sure that everybody is aware of the fact that we're going to take ownership of a condo
Thanks, guys.
with the intent to sell that and use the proceeds to help finance our new ladder truck.
Sure.
Any questions on the process, what we're up to?
No?
No, just a comment, and it's not directed at the two of you, just more a point of conversation here at the table, is that, you know, I appreciate you bringing this before the Board of Selectmen and to the town bodies at this point in time, because, you know, it's a restricted gift, and just as when you came, when the boat was given to us and we went through that process, it's important to understand all aspects of gifts. And as you were going through the report, sometimes there are other pieces, not necessarily in this case, but in others. So I think it's a really helpful model just to be able to have that kind of public dialogue about it, and I appreciate that.
Any further comments or questions?
None at all, just a big thank you to these guys, and a question, do we want to do a brief, just a sense of the body's support of this acceptance of the gift and reselling of the property, heading toward, or with the money geared toward the purchase of the ladder truck, or is this good enough, the discussion that we've had?
Let's, given the questions, I would say the questions it is, but let me rephrase it.
Sure.
Just to be very, thank you for bringing that up.
Sure.
Do you see any objections or obstacles or concerns that you have or the town should have in terms of going through with the transaction as proposed?
No.
No, I think the only question that I raised is just the mechanics of who then is responsible for hiring the realtor and all that, and I assume that will be taken up in connection with all of you.
In essence, the town, and that's an administrative procedure from that point.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Good.
Yep. No objections.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Okay, 14, oh, we already did that.
Item 15, from the town clerk, and this does require RTM approval. To hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the town clerk. Resolved that Michael C. Tetro, First Selectman of the town of Fairfield, is empowered to execute and deliver, in the name and on behalf of the municipality, a contract with the Connecticut State Library for an historic document preservation grant. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Our favorite town clerk, Ms. Brown, if you'd introduce yourself.
Good evening, I'm Betsy Brown, I'm the town clerk. And this is my annual Historic Documents Preservation Grant, and I brought a visual aid.
Wow.
This is Marriages from 1942. This book, along with two others, need to be restored. It's a $7,500 grant that we get from the state, and the project's about $7,900 to restore these books. So, and this is just handling over the years. We have other books that look like this as well. What they do is cut it out of the text block. I don't know if you can see what's coming apart. Everything will be cleaned, restored. The documents will be scanned, microfilmed, and then rebound. So, and I just need permission to, I've already applied for the grant, but we also need the resolution, authorizing us, the signatures, and then we'll go to the RTM.
Any questions from the board?
Thank you. Yes, it's hard to believe it's been a year since we've had this conversation, and appreciate your ongoing efforts to do this. One of my questions is about how the public accesses this information. So if someone comes in after this project has been done, are they able to access the information via the microfilm, or do they still actually go to the...
The state requires all our records be microfilmed. These are going to be stored off-site, the microfilm. It's part of a disaster recovery program. And they'll be able to, look at the hard copy, which will be encapsulated. And, we can also, once they're scanned, we can print them out as well, especially for issuing certified copies.
So I had read about the off-site storage as well. So part of my question is over time, as you're doing this, is there a way to also provide that electronic access when people come in? So for example, if I'm coming in, is that what you're saying, that people can do that as well? If they come into your office, they just can see the hard copy?
We have electronic access for the land records, not for the vital records yet.
Okay.
Did you mention you'd scan that book?
Yes.
So once you scan it, do you have access to the
It's not
scan?
on a public computer. They're on just...
But you have digital access to that?
Yes.
You can print it out and use that as your certified copy?
Correct.
Can you email that?
Yes, we could. However, we can only issue certified copies, which have a raised seal on them.
Yep, no, that's okay.
So technically, there would really be no reason to email
Okay.
a vital record like that.
And to Selectman Fahey's point, is there any way to give the public access to the scanned documents?
Yes, they could, if once we put them on...
Just for
terminal.
viewing?
Yes, thank you. Yep.
However, these don't have social security numbers on. Current ones do. So that's why, unless you are one of the people named in the certificate, you have access. Birth records that are less than 100 years old, those are confidential records, which is why we keep all our vital records separate.
Separate, yeah. And the reason that I asked that was because you referenced in your documentation that often people are doing research, and I was thinking about if a family had moved out of state, out of country, and wanted to somehow connect that way. So I appreciate your answers and everything you're doing.
We're lucky. We have a lot of genealogists that are constantly looking at our records.
Good stuff.
Any further questions from the board?
No. Thank you, Mrs. Brown.
Any comments from the public? All right, back to the board. Are we ready to vote?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 16, to consider and act upon tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector in the amount recommended. May I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion or amendments?
Yes. I move to amend this item, adding at the end of the sentence the amount $2,084 and, $2,087.62.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion on the amendment and the amendment only? All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
The item stands before us as amended. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
To hear and consider act upon new communications, to hear, consider and act upon other business which shall come before this meeting. Next up, adjourn. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second.
And I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. And we get new t-shirts. How cool. I know, look at this. Jen, do you want a t-shirt?